Writing a smart character or show is the hardest thing in writing. Well, that and writing a speedster. And how smart a character is depends entirely on the time and effort the author decides to put into it. That means that an author doesn't have to be super smart to write a smart show. Just put in the time and the effort needed to write a smart show. And absolutely, if necessary, take inspiration from great works. And when you successfully write a smart show, whether or not people appreciate it depends entirely on their own intellectual level, which means that even if it's smart, they can think that it's just garbage. They may simply be unable to appreciate a certain brilliance. But this isn't to say that a show can make up crap and then label it as smart, like some modern art and very much like CW Flash.
Calm down, Jefferson.
What the fuck is Barry doing right now? Just watching his friend get attacked? Hit him, hit him. Oh my god.
Hey guys, cutting the power didn't work. It's like the more we anger him, the stronger he gets.
Shut the fuck up and hit him.
Barry, make him angry and he'll blow his fuse.
No, stop coming up with these dumbass plans. Run up behind him and knock him out. That's all it took? One weak-ass punch? Fuck you, Barry could have done this himself if he—
Shows like this are arguably not smart, they just overcomplicate a simple solution. And then there's today's misunderstood masterpiece, Classroom of the Elite. After my recent praises of the show with facts, a plethora of videos popped up on my feed, and being broke and unemployed, I watched all of them. And most of these long ass videos claim that Classroom of the Elite is a dumb show with no smart characters. And the Classroom of the Elite community, you either think that the show is absolute garbage, or you're under the impression that Ayano Koji is this brilliant master manipulator with no in between. And so, I will humbly settle this debate with logic and reason, obviously as an enlightened sage. Now, the questions I'll be answering here in this video is, why do some people consider Classroom of the Elite trash? And are they actually telling the truth? Is the show actually garbage? Am I and everyone else who thinks the show is good just crazy? And so, answering the first question, why do some people consider Classroom of the Elite trash? And well, as much as I hate to admit it, not really. These people are actually right. The criticism that Classroom of the Elite faces is right, but most of it is unwarranted. Most of these are just standard, similar to how a character would decide to investigate a crashed alien ship for the sake of, the plot continuing, or going into an obviously haunted house. Logic and reason would obviously say otherwise, and mind you, there's no show, story or movie that's safe from this. Take Endgame for example. After Tony acquired the stones, a reasonable thing to do was to just run away, seeing as how Thanos and his army were losing, right? Or take JJK for example. Since no one can destroy Sukuna's fingers, why not just seal them away and chuck them into space as fast as you can? That's a simple solution to a problem they face. And these plot contrivances are just results of the writer's blind spots or lapse in logic and judgment. And they are perfectly normal. But mistakes are mistakes, right? And these creators obviously seem to have a higher standard, right? Right? Well, not really. Are you familiar with hypocrisy? Now, these creators who seemingly have high standards aren't always consistent with their criticism. We'll just talk about these two for now, okay? Seeing their criticism on Classroom of the Elite, I checked their channels and I saw Frieren videos. And seeing as how I recently talked about Frieren, I figured, hey man, let me look into it. And they were praising it, much to my disappointment. And I realized that some of that hate this show gets is because of people's expectations from it. When watching a fighting anime, you expect to see cool fight scenes, right? And when watching a smart anime, you expect to see smart scenes too. But that just simply isn't reality. Now, people may not like what I'm about to say right now, but 99% of anime just has bad writing. And these are facts I always push on my channel. But I also see the potential that anime has that movies just can't compare to. So when I point out flaws in a show, I do so because I want to see improvement. And if someone else also points out flaws in a show, I love it. But when that same person needlessly praises a show while overlooking its flaws, I really get annoyed because how is that fair? And I know that most critics have their own biases. I mean, look at The Drinker, Greg, Sage, all of them boys. As critics, we are all filters that just remove garbage, but we each have our own flavors, biases of sorts. But whenever I try and criticize something, I try to separate how good a show makes me feel and how well written that show is. And thus, we reach question number 2. Is the show actually smart? Is the writing smart? And this is where things get a bit complicated. First up, The anime does a great disservice to Ayano Koji and just the entirety of the light novels. One presents this character who was raised to forgo his emotions and memories. So he chose to run away from that place and try to regain his emotions and memories, and he actively tries to understand and work with people, while the other is this edgelord who views people as nothing but tools with no emotions or redeeming qualities whatsoever. The show, obviously being a ripoff, still holds some quality if I do say so myself, and no matter how much I think about it or look at it, the show's only mistake is its writing. The writing is its only downfall. For example, the S system. In the first season, established the point as this important thing that everyone needed, but in season 2, they were barely mentioned and were just treated as this mundane thing. The show has great plots. Yes, even the bullying plot isn't half bad. It's just the execution of said idea. The writing of it is just bad. So if the instructor does a terrible job presenting the art, it doesn't mean that the art itself is bad. But then what's up with Ayano Koji? Misinterpretations aside, is he actually a smart character? And the short answer is yes, he is. The long answer again is complicated. Now, first up, Sahid University brilliantly classifies all smart characters as either planners or strategists. Though he explains that it's a spectrum, check him out for more information. Think of characters like L, Kira, Lelouch, or maybe even Schofield. Ayano Koji is a planner, not a strategist, meaning that he starts at one point and then meticulously plans for future events to see them through manipulation and deception. But the obvious problem here is the writing. Think of the first Kira vs Light scene. L used the information he had to slowly draw out Kira and try and pinpoint where he was. And the show cleverly led us through the scenes and playing them out before L himself explains everything, showing us a great strategist. And then think back to the scene where Kira perfectly planned a series of events that not only cleared his name but made sure Kira still existed while also gaining L's trust and eventually getting the notebook back. And on paper, he's just like Ayano Koji, he's a planner. A problem is presented and the hints and clues are crumbled in there through the way, and at the end, they slowly show us how it was done, and it's damn near the exact same thing. It's just that again, the writing. And yeah, there will always be holes in most plans, even if more than enough hints are given. And I can hear arguments that Classroom of the Elite's hints are more overt. And yeah, you're right, they are. Also, characters don't use their thinking caps. But honestly, Witch written characters are always perfectly smart. And thus, I believe that Classroom of the Elite is a smart show. It's just that it isn't written in a smart way and people just expect too much of it. The writers were obviously aiming for that, but they failed. And this is like looking for the wrong qualities in the wrong show. Also, the first episode starts off like this, and maybe I'm dumb, but I thought that the show was trying to portray this weakness as, the character's flaws, and subsequently their undoing. Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit. And as I write the script, I'm reminded of this guy Colin who was out here debating with RSG2 about Invincible being a masterpiece. And I wonder if I'm like Colin right now, a dumbass who thinks that Classroom of the Elite is actually pretty good. And thus I invite anyone to challenge my thoughts on this show and this video. Anyway, that's all folks. Is I allowed to say that? Legally?